If you have been a subscriber of Tactical Manager TV for long enough, you probably know that Breck Shea is a channel favorite, the channel GOAT. And today, I am proud to announce that we have Breck Shea himself here for a 2-episode mini-series. Hi, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And you know what? Dreams do come true. I truly never thought we would actually have Breck Shea here at the channel. But here we are. Today we have part 1 of this 2-episode mini-series with Breck Shea himself. Look, I loved part 1, what you're about to watch, but part 2 was my favorite. And this is how it's going to go. Part 1 will be a bit more personal. We're going to talk about Breck Shea and what he's been up to post-retirement, the crazy pig head incident at Stoke. No, seriously, it's a crazy story. You're going to want to stick around. They literally had like a dead pig head in the locker room. But I'll let Breck Shea tell the details of that story. We're also going to be talking about his favorite U.S. men's national team moments as a player and much more. Now for part 2, that is actually my favorite, we're going to be discussing and debating if going to Europe is always a better move than staying in MLS. Does the club matter, the right timing, along with Breck Shea sharing his personal experience, and of course, talking a little bit about Jurgen Klinsmann's influence on his move abroad. Also, by the end of episode 2, my goal is to make Breck Shea my best friend. So hopefully I accomplish that, and you have to stick around to find out. So sit back, relax, get some popcorn, and drop a like in the video because I won't be asking during the interview. Okay? Let's bring in Breck Shea. Okay, everyone, today, the moment that I thought never would happen here at the channel, we actually have Breck Shea here. Breck, as I told you before, you are a channel favorite, and I truly appreciate you taking the time to come here. I didn't really think we would ever get you here at the channel, but I'm very much looking forward to. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I feel honored to be one of the fan favorites, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're very excited to hear from you because there's a lot of stories to talk about, and there's a lot of things to talk about in regards to, I guess, some things not soccer related and a lot of soccer stuff to talk about in this episode too. So, Breck, why don't we start with how's life right now? Post-retirement, you retired not so long ago. What have you been up to?
I'm enjoying it. The decision was hard. I had a long career, enjoyed, and was my life. But now I get to spend more time with my kids, my family, um, my wife, and my dog. So I'm enjoying it. My kids are at an age now where they're in sports. So my son plays hockey and soccer, and my daughters play soccer. So it's I feel like a sports dad, just running around to practices almost every night of the week. So I've been pretty busy, but it's good to be around my family for every day,
Did
day in, day out.
did injuries play a role on the retirement too? Because you did deal with a lot of nasty injuries throughout your career.
Yeah, I think injuries had a lot to do with the retirement and my career. So it's bittersweet, but like I said, I come from a small town in Texas to just play something that I loved for as long as I did is I'm grateful for it. So I can't be mad about things, even though there's things I wish I did differently or things I didn't do differently, But injuries are just part of it.
hmm And going back to that on your post-retirement, most recently, when you and Jeff Cameron announced, you both announced even together the retirement, and you also announced that you were playing on a 7-beat-7 tournament, and you scored some nice goals there. At least one of them, I even shared the clip that I remember that. How was that, and what exactly is that 7-beat-7 tournament that you all been playing? Is it something you're going to do every year?
Yeah, I mean, I plan on going back next year if they'll have me. I mean, we played for a team called Blade and Grass, and that TST, they put on a great tournament. I think did better than most people expected, and it was all around just a fun time. Like multiple games going on at once for the fan experience, seeing people that you watch play, and even years ago, like there was a lot of names there, and for a player, and I'm sure for a fan, it was a great experience. And yeah, me and Jeff, we've been friends for a long time, playing against each other. I lived with him partly when I lived in England. Um, so we are kind of going on a path together after our career. So we're building a business, and um, focused on soccer. So can't give too much details, but we're very excited about it, and I think it can make a huge difference.
Is it going to be? I know you can't probably talk about it too much. Is it something focused more on South Florida, where you both live nowadays?
It'll be based out of South Florida, but it's based around soccer. But yeah, it'll be here, the location.
We're going to be looking forward to that too, and two working together. And I think that's one thing that's been helping U.S. soccer quite a bit these days. Because when you go back to the '90s and everything that started off with soccer, a lot of the coaching, a lot of the people involved weren't really former professional players. Right nowadays, with MLS and everything that's being implemented, we're seeing a lot of former players and even players that played abroad. So I'm sure you and Jeff learned a lot from their culture and how they develop. And we're all bringing this culture into U.S. soccer. And I guess that's probably the most beneficial for U.S. soccer as a whole. But Breck, let's talk about that, because you talked about your time in England, talked about with Jeff there too, almost like roommates that you said you almost lived together. Back when you were at Stoke, was it at Stoke? Yes, you had the pig head incident. Do you want to talk about it? And if you have more stories to share, go ahead and share. Everyone will be willing to listen. But what happened there? Because that's a very weird story to be involved with.
Yeah, and it got blown way out of proportion. I mean, I was getting texts from all over the place, and it was on BBC, CNN, like not just soccer channels. It was all over the place, and it was just a big misunderstanding, to be honest. It was coming towards the end of the year, so pranks were happening in the locker room. Michael Owen was retiring, so people were messing with him. And this was going back and forth for a long time. And I don't want to get into the details, but basically what happened was someone brought up pig's head into the locker room and wrapped their casual clothes in it. So when they got back from training, they opened their clothes and there's a pig's head in it. And in Stokes locker room, there's no names, so you just know your locker. But they all look the same, and somehow the pig's head went in someone's wrong locker. And I genuinely believe it was by mistake. And so all this stuff happened that got out to the media, and all I did is walk in the locker room, see a pig's head. I love the movie Saw, so I picked it up and held it in front of my face like the movie Saw, and just thought it was funny. And then I posted the picture, and next thing I know, I'm losing a week's wages, getting fined, and like it's it's this huge national scandal, like about a player and Muslim and bacon and all this stuff. And it's nothing to do with that. It was just pranks gone wrong inside the locker room, stuff that should have never got out. And I do take responsibility for letting it get outside the locker room by posting it. But what do? You see a pig's head in the locker room. Yeah, I think it's funny.
This is a real pig.
Legit pig's head, probably weighed about 10 pounds. The thing was like, it was not like, it was legit head.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I probably would have done the same. Like, how can you not? Like,
there was fish in there too. I wonder if I held up the fish, I wouldn't have got in trouble. Like large fish, like that, like full fish.
Oh, good.
This was going in and on for weeks, and this just happened to end it, and it happened to be the second to last week of the season. So it had escalated, and there's a deeper story to it, and I just don't want to get into those details right now. But it was all just a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, I wish we had more details there. I wish we did. But this is what's crazy about this whole story here. It's did they ever find out who did that? Never.
Yeah, I mean, I got interrogated, and I know most of the story, and because for some reason I saw all of it happening periodically throughout the day, and it just got blown out of proportion by mistake, and even inside the locker room. So that's people's personal business. So I don't want to put it out there, but in the end, it's still funny to me because it was all a joke. So that's how I take it.
And so that's a crazy story at Stoke in England. Is there any crazy U.S. men's national team story you have that you can share?
You're
thinking too much. It might be something that gets you in trouble.
Soon. Check back in like a year or so. Then when I'm, I'll feel like better about telling stuff. Yeah. So I got nothing right now.
Yeah. The thing is, the longer you get into retirement, the more you're like, I don't care anymore, and you're just
exactly.
So we're gonna have to have you back a year or two into retirement, a little bit longer, and see how much you're willing to leak it out.
Then I'll give all the details.
Yeah, we'll give.
Just so my kids are old enough to hear me,
I wanna also go back to because we're gonna have a second part where I want to talk about your career abroad, and I think that's where you can dive into things that you would give advice to younger players, what you thought you did right, what you did wrong. But let's not get into that yet. I want to talk about U.S. men's national team since I went towards that. And you got your first call up with Bob Bradley, and then you kept getting called in with Jurgen Klinsmann. And I want to talk about two moments that maybe if well they're not too young because those are kind of recent. It was in 2012 and 2013, two big moments in U.S. men's national team history. You one of them being the win in the Azteca. For any viewers that might be too young, they might not remember this or they didn't watch this, but you came off the bench and you got the hockey assist where you did like a nasty move down the left flank, and then you're able to cross it. Terrence Boyd hits like a back heel. We get the goal. 1-0 Mexico in the Azteca. It was a friendly, but it doesn't matter. That is the only U.S. men's national team win in the Azteca. The other big moment you had was you scored the goal in the 2013 Copa America final to get us the trophy against Panama. Out of those two moments, would you say those are your two first? I'm pretty sure you're going to say yes, but those are your two biggest moments as a U.S. men's national team player. And if so, which one is the most special one to you?
I would say just playing on the U.S. men's national team was probably my greatest achievement and an honor. Something I set out to do at a young age, and to just achieve it was fulfilling, I guess. And yeah, I think the Gold Cup final was probably I'd say bigger than the beating Mexico and Azteca because for me personally, I was talking with Klinsmann, and he didn't want me there in the camp because he wanted me to have a good preseason with Stoke and stuff like that. But he wanted me to come in for the first part to train before I went to Stoke preseason, and someone got injured. I can't remember who, and he asked me to stay. So I got to stay, and then obviously ended up scoring probably the easiest goal of my career. But in the final, it was awesome. It was, and that tournament in the whole was just a lot of fun. The group, the guys, just playing in the U.S. at different stadiums. It was a lot of fun, and one of my fondest memories of my career. Just that the tournament as a whole.
Yeah, what's interesting about that too is obviously in terms of personal experience, clearly you've already stated that's your probably your favorite one, the most special one. When you think about historical moment, probably the 2012 Mexico one. In terms of
Yeah,
it, because we won multiple Gold Cups, right, in different circumstances against Mexico, in this case against Panama. But when you go back and you talk about when you talk about beating Mexico in Mexico, even this generation right now, we went to the Azteca and World Cup qualifying, and it felt like we could have won, but it still ended 0-0. We know how difficult that is. And regardless of being a friendly or not, I think that moment might be the most historical one of them all.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm not trying to take
yeah.
away from that moment
Oh,
at
yeah.
all. But yeah, that I'll never forget that. I remember coming in and doing that, and
You
that's just
nutmeg the
kind of like,
Mexican player.
yeah, that's kind of just like my motto as being a sub. And I feel like one of my strong suits was just because I was so dynamic and going forward. I just late in the game coming in, I had to try and make a difference, and obviously we did. And for us to go there and get a win, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's stadiums ridiculous, and just trying to breathe there at the altitude and whatnot. It's a hard place to play, just purely from a physical standpoint.
So I visited the Azteca, but there was no games. I was in Mexico City twice, and I went to the Estadio Olímpico, which is the other one in Mexico City, the
Yeah, yeah,
older one. I think it's older. At least it looks older. But I did visit the Azteca, and it's insane, like how big that stadium is. It reminded me
yeah.
of the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro, which is another historical soccer stadium in the world, legendary stadium. Now, I don't want to dive into U.S. men's national team too much in this segment. I only wanted to go through that question because we're going to do that in the other one. So I want to circle back on one thing that you were talking about. I want to go back to your post-retirement life that you were talking about. And I think one thing a lot of people don't know about you is that you paint. Actually, you do.
Yeah,
Do you still do that?
yeah. Not as much as I used to. I mean, I have three kids under 8, so
You're busy.
it's busy. And even when I do paint, my kids want to come, and So if I'm painting, my kids want to paint, so I have to stop and help, and which is fine. But now all of a sudden, one wants to paint for 5 minutes, and then one's walking through the house, and everything they touch has paint on it, and then the other one's done. So then it just becomes a whole mess. And it's something that I've always done, and as like a to get away, away from soccer and away just by myself. And it's so I do get time, not as much as I used to, but
Hmm.
it's nice.
Now, I don't know if you even want to answer this specific question, but you played lastly in Inter Miami, and then you retired, and you stayed in South Florida in the Miami area. I guess that's what we can call it. I actually love that place too. But you grew up in Texas, right?
Yes.
Is there a specific reason? Was it a family decision? Was it just because you were already there that you stayed in South Florida instead of Texas?
Um, well, I'm building a business here, but we lived
You're stuck
here,
here.
and my wife, where we live is where my wife is from. And
Mm.
met my wife at in high school at IMG. She was a tennis player, and she moved from IMG from this area where I currently live, and now we moved back, and it's where she grew up. So it's comfortable. We like it. We enjoy it. Kids really like it, so can't complain. We're by the beach. Sun. I love the sun. I love the heat. So it's nice.
Swimming on the beach or the pond in Florida? Which one's better?
In Florida, the beach, but in Texas, the pond.
The
No
pond. Yeah.
gators.
Might want to be careful of gators here too.
Exactly. That's why the beach is better here.
Well, and I guess bears. Yesterday they found a bear in Magic Kingdom here in Disney. A real
Yeah, when I
bear.
lived in Orlando, we had a bear come all the time in our garage. And I had a pool, like screened-in pool, and a freezer out back, and I keep all my stuff in there. And the bear would come and slice the screen, come in and get in my freezer, and then like okay, a week later, I'd fix the screen. And next week, he would come slice the screen and get in my freezer. So I had to get rid of the freezer because we had the black bear come all the time.
So you had a bear living in your backyard.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wait,
We'd
wait. So
I'd be watching TV at night, and we'd hear the garage, and we'd walk out there, and there was just a black bear in the garage. I mean, it wasn't a big one anytime, but they were friendly, and yeah, it was something I did. I was thinking Florida bears, what?
wait. So did you ever actually catch? Well, not catch, but like see the bear in person, or is there always a camera?
Not in my back, but in the garage all the time,
Oh,
all the time. If I
actually,
left the garage open at night, he would come in, or she, I don't know what it was, but all the time.
yeah. There's some. I love Florida, but there's some crazy stuff in Florida.
Yeah,
Gators go
people.
away. People,
Yeah,
the Florida
yeah.
man. But yeah, here's the thing that I was going to ask you too, because I've seen it before. You were once in an Inter Miami practice training session down in Miami, obviously, and there's just a snake going into the field. Everyone was kind of like freaked out about it a little bit. Didn't like. I personally don't like snakes. I know my family
Yeah.
doesn't like it too much. You just casually grabbed the snake and took it out of the field. You're pretty cool with animals. Don't mind them.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up having all sorts of reptiles and pets, but I love reptiles. I love playing with snakes. As a kid, I'd go out and see how many I could find and catch, and different types, and just to learn about them. So it was just something I really enjoyed. And yeah, I mean, I was just walking to an interview, and everyone was like, "Watch out, watch out!" And I looked in the bush, and there was just a snake. So I grabbed it to help give it to the field guys to take it away, and everyone was like, got all excited.
I mean, I would say the snake is an alive snake is probably better than grabbing a pig head. So
Yeah, that's true.
I would say that doesn't sound
But
as
people have
bad.
a misconception about snakes. Snakes are, I mean, they're more scared of you. They're going to go away, and if you act calm around them, they're going to be calm. It's just typically how it is. But so
Yeah, I
don't be
guess.
scared. There's no reason.
Yeah, I'm still gonna stay away from snakes. I'll
Fair
take your
enough.
advice on it, but I'm still gonna stay away from it. The same way I stay away from bears, from
Yeah,
gators, even though
true.
I feel like bears and gators are definitely more dangerous than a snake, unless it's a poisonous
Yeah,
snake, or if you're in the Amazon and you're dealing with a freaking anaconda or something like
yeah.
that.
Or the
Um,
Everglades.
yeah, yeah, that
They're
too.
finding all sorts out there now.
Yeah, definitely dangerous. Oh, in Miami, you also have sharks sometimes.
Yeah.
That's something to be afraid of, or at least cautious in regards to that. But Breck, that's enough for part one. Definitely shorter than your friend Jeff Cameron. We let him talk, and he went on for an hour and a half. But there's no issue because we have part two where we're going to actually dive into your career and talk more about soccer and focus on that. Everyone, thanks for watching on this episode. Catch episode 2 where Brek Shea is going to talk about his experience abroad, U.S. men's national team, Major League Soccer with Orlando, Atlanta, Inter Miami, much more. Drop a like before you go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.